poetry, why poetry is beautiful?
Yeah,
It
that is
violates,
also
it violates normal syntax.
right, sir.
Even in that, you feel the beauty. Okay, that's a beautiful. Poetry is a violation of syntax in a very advantageous way. Normal violation of syntax will be definitely advantageous, but I gave you this warning. If you try with changing the syntax of your stream of consciousness, so any questions? So did you think so? Keep on thinking about this that linkage because the only thing by which as I told you, our minds are in turmoil or in our minds can be affected, so-called unhappiness. It is possible only by language, either language of the stream of consciousness or language delivered by other people to you. Let us say to a great extent that to this mature level, other people's language may not be that effective on you, or they may not be using such languages. But you perceive things. We are talking only about certain tip of the iceberg, like looking at life, about various details of life. For example, like my income, my salary, my savings, my requirements, my dreams, my aspirations about children, etc., 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 etc. They are all maintained in the internal organization by language only. Language meaning descriptions of that situation. That's also by language. Oh, tomorrow I have to do that work. Tomorrow is the deadline. Tomorrow is the deadline. So one sentence. Tomorrow is the deadline. Yes, agreed. And there is all kinds of doubt whether you will be able to finish the work by tomorrow 4 p.m. Yes, so what? But that reality is constantly involved in the mind by this running language. And that language is running without your permission. You just do not want to have that language. You want to get out of that language. And all the more you try to do that, all the more it is sustaining, insisting. See? What is the so called familiarity trap? It is by language, and the unconscious language. All the mental traps can be finally resolved only by changing the language flow of the mind, Nitya.
That's great, right, sir.
So when Naveen, I don't know, Rangan belongs to the lowest caste in Tamil Nadu. Not only
Yes, sir.
lowest caste, he is the poorest of the poor. I don't
Oh,
treat him because there is no language. Rangan is Rangan. He is a human being. He comes here. That's all. Many times he has irritated me by his various activities. Okay. Then I think, one day Mandra got irritated. I told Mandra, there is another person here, let us say from a so-called good family. If that person does it, will you feel like this? She said, no. Why you feel?
right.
Because this is Rangan,
Hmm.
therefore we feel it. That's all.
Yeah,
So when it is clarified, she felt so happy actually speaking. So we are victims of many likes and dislikes and slight variations, slight drivings of attitudes and dispositions and emotions towards entities and people and things, etc., etc. By a running language in the consciousness or in the pre-consciousness or in the or slightly borrowed from the unconscious. Attitude to Rangan is borrowed from the unconscious. And look at the world. Only language was created. Islam is a different religion because Islam has a different language. Every knowledge domain, every perspective, every ideology, they are all different by only the language, not by the referent and the referent realities. Do you see? That's why they say Allah is the God, Yahweh is the God, Brahma is the God. God is a common factor. God is named Allah by some group. God is named Yahweh by some other group. See, that's all. And nobody knows what is God. And that's a different issue. Now you see, the entire world of human beings are world and its details are completely what you call corrupted, mismanaged, manipulated just by languages, knowingly or unknowingly, or by the conspirating evil minds. Who will talk about this to the world? How can you liberate so many millions of people who suffer from depression and animosity or other kinds of hatred and all kinds of interpersonal attitudes and possessions by informing them that all these are maintained by the running commentary and instruction of your own thought process? The world is divided by the names India, Pakistan, China, US, etc. People are divided by words Hindu, Muslim, Jain, Christian, etc. Okay, these are all ideologies which you can think about when you go and address an audience at a later point of time. Somebody invites you to make a talk. See that you talk something definitely different. And that difference will come to you even otherwise by your creative analysis. That by way I talked about that. That's all. So when you get some peaceful time and lonely time, and when the body is relatively calm, without much load to digest food and so on and so forth, sit in an east-west direction and just utter the basic mantra. That is Shreem, Kleem, Hreem. That's all. SRWM, Shreem, Kleem, KLWM, Shreem, Kleem, Hreem, HRWM. And you see that you do it at least 100 times.
It's 21:15.
Every day, if possible, for some time. And you have to utter it in its fullness. Do not bother, do not focus on anything. If possible, just focus your attention on your doing that. That's enough. It's a language of no language. It's not a language. It is the basic of language. It is nothing but the sounds. All right. So the session is over. Anything? Any questions?
So, in terms of the names, uh, at at work in this new environment, right now I've not been able to change my name per se, but I've asked them to address me as TJ, as we had discussed the last time I was there. Does that make a difference, if not totally?
That will definitely make a difference. That itself will make a slight difference. No, I am not insisting or anything, Tintin. I'm just telling. Okay. Now, what I said, for example, what I told Nitya, had her name been something else, I'm not telling that by changing the name, entire totality will change. Had her name been something more conducive, she would have definitely reached at least minimum 10% more than what she has already achieved, what she has already done. That's what I said.
Yes, sir.
About which I am 100% sure. Similarly, Tintin also. You are a wonderful person. You are a person with a terrible integrity and honesty, very well behaving person. Oh, everything. But many things you missed. Of course, you did not miss much. But many other things would have definitely happened to you if your name was something else. What that name, I don't want to say. That could be any name. It's not any a given particular name. But this name is not suitable.
Sir, can we reason out that, sir? How can we reason out that, sir?
That we explained, this sound structure is very, 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 very neutral, very ordinary. That's all. There is no hard and fast rules about that. It is not very so-called scientific. But we can, if one is decided, like Ramesh, you can do a number of research because modern technology will allow you. You can sound structure, you utter, and then you get a screen or printout. Then you can have a program which will analyze the what you call the sound structure patterns, and you can like graphology, and you can correlate with the chip. How graphology was created, Ramesh? No, they interviewed thousands, tens of thousands of people. Even now, graphology is a degree program, postgraduate program, and doctoral program in some of the top universities in France and Canada. What do they do? Every day, new things are discovered. They get to the sample of for example, Ramesh is a wonderful person, a very accomplished person. Let's say Ramesh handwriting elements are analyzed, and they will do a what you call a depth interview, and they identify. Okay, so then they have similar patterns and they correspond it, and then they arrive at it. Graphology also is not 100% thing. None of this can be 100%. This will only give some clues. So similarly, perhaps you can arrive at create a program, Ramesh, the sound structure, and having this kind of a sound structure like handwriting analysis. That person will have this kind of competences, this kind of capabilities, like good in mathematics, like in graphology. With for as far as I am concerned, by looking at the handwriting with 90% accuracy, guaranteed. That's because of certain other factors, my intuition, whatever, also included. Almost 90% accuracy about the character, about the mindsets, about the attitudes, about the values, about qualities like honesty, integrity, tendency for alcoholism, and so on and so forth. More or less, uh, there are about 7,500 variables identified in graphology. Ramesh. Similarly, perhaps you can have a wonderful program, computer program, by which you will record the sounds of some world-class speakers like Fidel Castro or some great actors or whatever, great musicians, great film directors, great managers, great CEOs, highly accomplished scientists, researchers, and then look at the pattern. I'm sure there must be a pattern, Ramesh, no doubt about that. If there is a pattern in handwriting, there must be a pattern in sounding also, no doubt. We can create perhaps a program and we can patent it and we can use it for selection process. Why not?
Yeah.
A patent for example, there's all over the world. There's immense research going on. Really, now I know immense research is going on to identify potential criminals rather than crimes committed and then arresting them. By the time crime is already committed, if there is a way to identify it in advance, I am sure because graphology can clearly predict criminal tendencies. And if sound structural analysis it, I think the science world will accept it much more. Because sounds can generate that oscillator, what you call that clear pitch drive, whatever in the or in the screen, and you can get a printout, and you had varied methods to analyze the graphics. Ramesh, if you want, you can try, because I am guaranteeing you there will be a definite significant correlation between the sound structure and the quality of a person. No doubt. Yes.
So yeah, this basically, since I keep looking at temple architecture. If you see Hampi, it's completely the overall structure and everything about Hampi in terms of the variations, patterns, everything is based on sound structure, is what some literature says. So that is about Hampi. So in terms of temple architecture, but I was trying to see in terms of, again, sound structure and even handwriting analysis. Handwriting, again, it keeps changing, because handwriting is something that you keep practicing.
No. Doesn't change. The overall structure may change, but the signals will not. It may change from the age 20 to 40 or 20 to 30.
So,
But that changes will indicate only certain things. But the fundamental characteristics will remain the same. But of course, somebody can consciously change the handwriting, and thereby the mind structures can change. Now, somebody's mind structures got changed, as a result, handwriting may change.
Yeah, because for me, till as I remember, till my Delhi days, it used to be really very bad. But after that,
by the way, Ramesh, you know about handwriting? You know about handwriting analysis?
No.
Then it has nothing to do with looking good or bad.
Okay.
It is nothing. It is a totally different thing. I am sure your handwriting, if it is taken and given to a handwriting analyst, he will tell that you are definitely a creative person, you are a designer, etc., etc. He will tell you without ever seeing you. So it has nothing to do with the look of the handwriting, Ramesh.
Okay.
In fact, you are a creative person, therefore your handwriting is very likely to look little bit clumsy and out of the way. No doubt. I have not seen that, but I am sure. But if you try to consciously make it like a normal handwriting, that much of rigidity will happen to you also gradually. Do not do that.
Okay.
That is all.
Sound pattern also, it again, now I will call myself in a certain way. That is, the pitch variations from person to person, it keeps varying. So
wait. What you mean? Person to person, their calling Ramesh will vary. That is so what? That is not an important point here. Whether your sound will change or not, that is the question here.
Okay.
Your sound will never change. For example, somebody who studied with you in class 10, if he calls you back, you will very likely identify that person, because the sound seldom change fundamentally. But from adolescence to adulthood, there may be a change. Now, anyway, what is the point you are talking? You are telling somebody calling you Ramesh.
Because when there is a change in sound, is that a change in character also? Is it both very much linked? Because we are saying that it's linked. When there's a change in sound, change in when the voice breaks. So when adolescent, the voice breaks. Because of that voice breaking, is there a change in character also that happens?
Voice breaking meaning what? Like stuttering, stammering. Voice breaking is a very, very distant term. Voice breaking meaning definitely he has a health problem. Now, voice variation, that means mood variation. When somebody shouts, there's a different sound. You communicate in different pitch variation only, of course. But the basic pattern of sound remains the same, but there will be pitch variation. Like, why are you doing like this? No? Sound, but the pitch variation, but the sound remains the same of a person. But you made another point in the beginning. You said 10 people call you Ramesh in 10 different sounds.
Yes, that also is one point, sir.
Okay, good. By that, what you wanted to ask?
By that, what I want to ask is that sound, because that sound is a character, sound and character is linked up, is what you're saying. Now, I am generating sound, that same Ramesh, that word, I will be generating one type of word, but 10 people are generating in different ways. But will that also have influence
Yeah,
on
yeah,
my?
of course. Yeah, of course. Yes, of course. But there won't be much variation. There may be sound variation. There may be sound quality variation. But they have to pronounce ra, me, and sh. That sounds are there. So overall, it will be within very limited variation boundary. If
Okay.
somebody call you instead of Ramesh, hi Ramesh,
Hmm.
then there is a variation,
Yes.
which normally nobody does.
Okay. So within that frequent, within that probability thing, when it is fall within that small probability, it's okay. But
Yeah, yeah.
complete. Okay, got it, sir. Beautiful, sir. Beautiful. Hmm.
Nidhi has at least a meaningful sound structure, ni and ti. But ta and tu or t and tu are not at all appropriate sounds. But by which nothing has happened to Tintin. He is a highly qualified person. He has accomplished a lot. He has done some major complex projects for companies and all that. So what I wanted to say that had his name been some other, his flight would have been much more higher order. That's what it is. Much more conducive. Mandra, that's all I said. For example, Manmohan Singh. There is no Ra, but there are two Ma. Ma also is a fundamental sound. And you have you have three Ma in your name. Starting with R. Again, starting with what sound? These are all important. Your sound starts with R. That also is important. So these are all just a theoretical wondering, but these are all the mysteries in which how the sounds are connected to the central nervous system. Because what is a language? Nothing but an assemblage of sounds only. And sound structures are given meanings. That's the next point you have to think. What do you mean? What is the referent of meaning? Oh, it is all very complex.
It's 2130.
Yeah. There are words, and words have meanings, and meanings are again in words. Then so Anuratha asked about concepts. For example, the concept of Naveen. It's a good concept. Naveen meaning new, fresh. So Naveen Chandra actually meaning fresh, new, full bloom moon. That's the meaning of the word Naveen Chandra. So what is the problem with the Vinay name is Vinay is a good concept, but Lal is just a sound. It has no meaning. Of course, it is a part of the name of his father. So what I have done, because he is very significant for me. In my phone also, I have put even in my phone, I don't want to have Vinay Lal. So what I have done is Vinay Lal Devaraj. That's why I have put his name in my phone. Because
Okay.
Devaraj is the name of his uncle, through whom only I met him. Because I feel so, in a way, disappointed that the name Vinay ends up with Lal. Because Lal is a diffusing sound structure. Lal. See, where mouth open and it goes away. That's all. There is no basic problem in Lal.
So then, if you see that Mohanlal is one of the greatest
That's
artists.
true. Mohanlal, his original name is Mohanlal.
I don't know.
Anyway, there is Ma is there. Ma is there. And then sound combinations are also there under that. See, you can see that. You close your eyes and say Vinay Lal and Mohan Lal. Because Vinay itself is a weak sound structure, actually speaking. Vinay is Vinay. you know, Vinay means actually very humble, very gentle, very low. So it is Vinay. Vinay Lal. So it is totally very, very plain. Vinay Lal. It doesn't require much energy to sound Vinay Lal. Very easy, Vinay Lal. Vinay Lal. See? Vinay Lal. Very easy. But you cannot do like that with Mohan Lal. You cannot sound it very carelessly because the sound ha has to come. Ha is a powerful sound. That's why the three Mona mantras or the basic mantra sound, it is Srim, Klim, Hrim. Because Ha is a very powerful sound. Because Ha comes from the Mooladhara, from the base of the body. Ha. So it is Mohan. So whatever is the Lal is neutral. Lal is not as disadvantageous. It is not disadvantage. Nothing is disadvantage. Certain sounds are disadvantage, like ta. Ta, ti, tu, all are disadvantages. Like La is not disadvantageous. La is very gentle. So that's why in most of the music you use la 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 la. See, la is a sweet sound, no doubt about that. But what I'm talking is it ends with ill. La and ill. Ill meaning just you cannot control the energy. Anuradha. See, it's a very dha is again a powerful sound. You cannot very clear. We cannot call that name very carelessly. But Vinay name can be called carelessly because you don't need much effort to pronounce Vinay. Just Vinay with the minimum opening of the mouth. We can say Vinay. Don't worry about all this. Okay, Vinay.
Sir, actually, I think I told you I named myself.
Oh, you named yourself.
Yeah. I think I told you when I
Yeah. What was your original name?
Manish. It was Manish. At the age of 6, before joining the first standard, I proposed this name to me. Actually, Vinay, and I put Lal from my father and added.
Actually,
And,
Manish can be a name for a human being. And do you know what is the meaning of Manish?
it's related to mind.
No.
No.
It relates to higher order intelligence.
Okay.
Manish means also the god of the mind, the supreme power, supreme master of the mind. That's the meaning of the word Manish. From that, it comes higher order intelligence. So it was a wonderful name. And no problem. Don't feel worried about all this. whatever be the name, you can always transcend it. That's a different issue. So I talked about this, insisted to tint in a certain context. He will not have that context because of certain other factors in his work. Everybody, despite his very super, it's a very good case study, Ramesh. He is extraordinarily competent in his work, in the sense that he has taken some of the most difficult projects of a company. And despite that, the so-called some vested interest groups played a politics against him, and they, of course, they never asked him to go. They don't do that. They created a situation. So I wondered. So I said, because when someone thinks in the mind the name Tindu, it doesn't strike. You know, it doesn't strike. The destiny of that sound is poor. Get the point, Ramesh. Therefore, they are likely to take this Tintu for granted. Similarly, Niti also. Niti, if she was in India, it would have been much worse. Luckily, she is in the US. Sorry, in Australia, where they will pronounce that sound structure in a different way, I suppose. Am I right, Nitya?
Neat. I mean, yes, similar, sir. Not with a ta with that much intensity. It is just a neaty.
Therefore, it is much more structured, right? Much more compact
Yeah.
compared to what Malayalis would call it.
Yeah.
So these are all not that important. Don't bother. These are all information. When you become a person who will be asked to make suggestions about something, then you can talk about all these things. So I am giving you all kinds of topics and possibilities so that you can address any audience in the world on any topic. Some sample critical realities. And Priya is a very good name. Priya is a good name. Again, Pra also is a mantra sound only. You can see whenever you come across any girl with the name Priya, they will all be very sweet, very happy, go lucky. Everybody loves kind of a girl. Because that name itself, that itself is the evidence, Ramesh. The Priya meaning what? I don't know. You understand that word, right? Priya. Okay. So by that name, that calling her that name itself, the one who calls her falls in love with her, sort of, like sir. Because they call her Priya. Priya means what? Beloved. I mean, my dear. That's all. As simple as that. I know at least some minimum some 10 Priyas. They are all having that charm, very, very sociable, very happy, all the time smiling like butterflies. That is the example. That itself is the evidence. That's all. And Vinay is extremely gentle. Now only he has become little tough.
Okay.
And Ashwati Anuradha and all are very, very powerful Sanskrit terms. So that's they are all good names, just good names. But Anuradha is more powerful by the name's sound structure than Ashwati. But Ashwati has a good configuration. Yes, both of them. In Anuradha, there is dha, it's a powerful sound. In Ashwati's case, there's a combination sound. In Ashwam, Swa. So, Ashwam, so normally that's a Sanskrit name for the most powerful and fastest animal in the world, horse. So, it's also, therefore, it is a name attributed to one of the powerful stars in the constellation. So I have put the name Amaya Rajarshi. I am a little bit worried about that now. So Amaya is the synonym for Vishnu. But Amaya also means without any boundaries. And he is almost like that. He is a kind of a ridiculously fearless guy. Just do not go by any of the instructions, but very gentle, very nice. At the same time, he just cannot. I am even now. I am not sure what kind of a person he is, because he is beyond discussion, beyond boundaries. So I am constantly reminding him. He is not at all worried about anything in the world. Just not bothered. Just not bothered. Very cool. Whatsoever be the lightning and thunder around, he is ridiculously cool. Because Samaya, everything enters through one ear and goes through the other ear. I made a mistake. I only look into the primary synonym. That Amaya is the synonym for Vishnu. I forgot to look at the real implications of the word. So Ramesh, you know, Ramesh is the synonym for Shiva, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Only, as far as I know, only Malayalis make, being the most educated people, they make the greatest blunders in naming the so-called human being. I wonder how can they be so careless about naming a human entity, you know? In fact, I have been interacting with the students in Bihar for the last 12 years. I have never come across a stupid name. But at the same time, Bihar has a great problem. Everybody is either a Kumari or Kumar.
Oh, yeah, yeah, sir. Then what is wrong in it, sir?
That is, they will never become mature, that's all.
Oh,
They
okay.
will miss, because they are Kumar. Kumar meaning what? You know,
Mm-hmm.
kind of immature, uh, clueless.
Minor.
Immature, clueless. That is very important. Immature, clueless,
Oh,
inexperienced person.
okay.
I wonder how come Bihar people with the background of Nalanda and the great Sanskrit scholars and great national leaders uh, have perpetuated a culture among parents to name everybody with a Kumar and
It's
Kumari.
21:45.
Of course, it gives them a dynamism also at the same time. Now. Even at the age of 95, somebody is named Kumar. So it,
All right.
it
Yes, sir.
enables a certain dynamism.
Mm-hmm.
That advantage also is there.
Oh, okay.
That's why you don't see much ill people in Bihar. Bihar is the only one state in India with the minimum number of hospitals. Because everybody has that smartness of Kumar and Kumari.
Natural disadvantage and advantage.
Sir, uh, Tikkurasi, the actor of Malayalam film industry. So he named. I heard like that. He named many of the actors in Malayalam film industry. Is it like that?
And I don't know whether he followed that. No, no, he is a theatre guy. He is a, what you call, artist, a showman. So he chose a name which can appeal the people. Yes. So he only suggested Prem Nasir, for example, who became the most popular actor at any point of time in Malayalam industry. Yeah. So because they have that public sense, what will appeal the public, yeah, because of their years of experience in understanding the mindset of people. Because an artist, especially theater artist, they can create a drama or a play, an effective play, only when they understand the minds and the sensitivities of people. So they know. There are 4 or 5 actors to whom he has given the name.
I think Mammootty also.
Yeah, Mammootty also some of the name. I think Mohanlal also has some other name originally. I don't know. Anyway.
So there are two things now we are trying to see on the names. One is we are trying to associate a meaning to the name. That is one perspective. The other perspective is the ta, da, sha. So the pronunciation or the syllables that are used. So that is another perspective. So is the understanding right? So these two perspectives jointly bring that energies.
In a final sense, yes. If both are good, it is all the more good. But primary is the sound factor. Because sound is, because nothing in the world can generate sound. Sound is a property of the air column which is vibrated by something. Okay, so sound is a property of the planet Earth, let's say so. So that is generated first, then the meaning and its implications. That's all. But meaning and implications are also important because the human beings live in the world of meaning. And your name is very powerful because next word is Manikyam. So jewel. No. So Manikyam is not a normal jewel. Manikyam is the greatest jewel by the Indian concept. Manikyam is not available. Nobody knows what is Manikyam. Manikyam is actually a legendary, what you call jewel, which is supposed to be carried or evolved by the greatest power of some unique serpents. That is Manikyam, real
Nagamanikyam.
Yeah, correct. So, actually, looking at your name, mainly I told sometime back you will end up as the CEO of a company. Why, for example, Ramesh's question, why, for example, English has captured the great majority of the world? The sound structure of English language is wonderful. Coincidentally, it happened. That command, the power, the commanding power, that controlling power is easily possible with the sound structure of the words of English language. That's it. They could easily capture a major part of the world, And Sanskrit with all the so-called whatever wonder, etc., it was almost vanished, despite all the efforts of the government and all that. Of course, all those olden languages vanished, Spanish or Latin or Hebrew, all those things vanished because that existed at a different point of time with a different background. But all these ancient languages, Latin or Hebrew or Sanskrit, had they been the language of the people, there would have been much less confusion and chaos in the world. Because as far as I know, with Sanskrit language, you just cannot quarrel with anybody. That language will not allow that. It is like if you are able to say in English, you are a bad boy. In Sanskrit, it would be like you are a bad boy, something like that.
Right, sir. Exactly.
It will not allow you to have violent structures. And what is the modern languages? They are all taken from the majority. They also started talking languages. They were all converted and so-called linguistics and linguistic people or those who are concerned about language development as knowledge field. They took all those words and created the lexicon. That's why it was called a lexicon in the beginning. The real term for dictionary is lexicon, which means just assemblage of sounds used by people. That's all, like a citizen. So later it became dictionary. A series of dictions, sound structures. So if you look at language, every year or every 2 years or 3 years, the so-called lexicographers sit together and identify all new words and all new variations that they put it as meanings into the dictionary. So originally the word genius meant only the attendant spirit of a person. Gradually it became what? Somebody with extraordinary intelligence and all kinds of things, because that's the way common people understood genius. So they put that also into the meaning structure because they wanted to popularize the language. Is time late going? You so can stop, decide the program. Okay, why? But okay, you.
Feeling not.
Charger, get I, continue, shall we?
Means what, charger?
Device charger. Me no charger.
Oh,
Recharged. Am I?
no charger, other house inside.
Too early. Drive need out later.
Oh. Case that in, other no laptop.
S. Use others.
Time for
Back.
borrow. Time for borrow.
Do now. Come.
Please, yes. of the end towards sessions this, will we try how to language poetic. It got, Vinay?
Sir, yes.
Fact in is that meaningful more. Because you want how to language poetic you when others talk to. And in audience especially. Try of you, everyone.
Sir, night, young still.
Full beauty. Time set. Can you words divide also? Time set. Can you also words divide? Said I like full beauty.
Yes, sir. Right. Beautiful. That's the beauty of beautiful. Okay, sir.
Tintin so ready is try to this with language eccentric.
So Tintin is ready to try language, eccentric language.
Call I this language eccentric.
I call this eccentric language.
Purpose clear is change to the structure neuronal for decades last so rigidified got beginning from how we that ascertained
It's 22
every
hours.
that neuronal word structure is. We saw when language change to in eccentricity, the structures neuronal change also will. Which
Listening now, subconscious mind, understanding there.
fit defer. This how I disrupting layers the of unconscious most in way effective. Wanted I presence Veena of
More attention. Now everybody has Ordinary than.
True, much very. That without this to listening, impossible is. Is there extra and process, mind inside? Understand too, language this. Will to have you or must you reflect, which without cannot you comprehend? I said what?
Mantra like you talk this.
Fitly defer. Told you I asked, with experimented her, told you. Her in mind young, might this induce problems, probably some.
Stand under.
Yeah. You in possibly too. Necessarily not, yet duty me of want to you this about. Warning just all that. Sure, because not, which in way might work it. You when try, at especially night lonely.
Science CI.
Gone is Nitya. Did she say what?
Said no.
Said she something she when live session the. Was what it? Remember anybody? Said she something she when the meeting left.
Not here was I.
Oh, okay. Heard nobody?
Buddy, no.
Didn't she say anything?
Oh, here. Thought I she that night young might she sit some for time.
Thought to I. Same.
Yeah. Okay, is that? She said, but it eccentric in language, right? Night young. Found have I that Time every, this I try, mind thee becomes cool very.
Exactly feeling. Yeah.
When especially disturbing thoughts there are. Understand you can, you when consider is going what on the inside mind you're of. When try you do to this, because ongoing ever language is mind inside. Conscious either, unconscious or. Instance 4, very this night, sleep in how you will different certain experiences. You if visualize processes neuronal, will you then understand implications of happens what you when change language the syntax of, because word every nothing is a but neuronal a structure. Decades because of practice regular, practice incessant, practice continuous, normal in times, non-normal in times, times in emotions of was it language only through runs mind yours. The called so mind. Suggesting am I you too that this tell never anybody to unless person that really is found eligible be too.
Understand we, sir.
Got this idea I meditating by cons KOANS cons upon. Understood I invariant the of cons. Think I that better is it than upon meditating cons. Because of cons, the syntax primarily blocking very much. Together days for disciples the be will confused the about syntax ridiculous or realities referent impossible the four chords like the sound of one hand clapping. Disciples most a waste time of lot by just negotiate to trying the troublesome logic be of cons. Unless find they tuning a certain, cannot they approach cons thee? First, how to they friendly become or easily become comfortable the with cons. Only then try can they proceed to the resolving cons. Like somewhat, Samurai A to has first with comfortable sword thee. Only then can he try sword. Like mountainous thee or fall first become with comfortable about kilograms 45 of the weight vary of shoes the instruments other etc. rope. Of all first, how to they practice walking just the with weight that much. After only with comfortable weight with that walking can they climb to try any mountains. Similarly, case of cons the has one to comfortable be the with logic cons of onwards then disciples thee can try cons resolving the
It's 22:15.
we if decide continue to 10 minutes another, why then not you try in talking language eccentric? On come, Ashwini. Something say. You are in whatever mind.
Doubt, sir, have I.
What about?
Sound if structure, syntax change affects impulse neuronal. B how no do that resultant impulse neuronal harmful be won't.
Crystal ball.
Need you don't know that about. Said I harmful in context that and as overall results vary the ongoing of stream consciousness inevitably are which in a language vary the linkages the of self-viewer are which maintained A by nevertheless language A get may affected. Get may affected. Some for type. All that is. That at point should not you worried get momentary of feeling doubt you about. Like said I mantra about. Started she even things to see. Clear in daytime. Because structures neuronal when change, would there be changes corresponding many in parts other the brain of? There is principle in therapy graphological. Example 4, changed I have times several attitudes, tendencies, competencies, people of by just signature changing. Because a major neuronal structure comprises signature. When therefore changed the signature, which is neuronal major structures, will be there changes neuronal several in networks correlated signature to them. The point got you? That if the case is when more much significant introduced changes neuronal structures brain in the changing by the decades talking, thinking, stream of consciousness practice, all what that part I will make it clear. What all changes are not possible. Is that why should I be bit a little careful?
something I try
Okay.
I think now in mind I think now
Hmm.
mind in.
Hmm.
Today flies, tomorrow butterflies.
Mm-hmm. That poetry is, or said you something?
Said both something poetry.
Okay.
Okay.
Poetry, why is triggering much so feelings emotional? Because primarily to do changed, altered or syntax. In our language poetics, syntax altered is poetry. Time after some, will everyone to have try language poetic. Now right is this eccentric pure. That in sense, poetry is eccentricity controlled. Am I right, Amaya?
Yes. Long back think I syntax know all poetry.
Hmm.
Cohen read some I. So felt no syntax no poetry.
Hmm. How you do of concept poetic syntax subject in your studies?
No.
Okay. So try Meenakshi. Like to would you?
Syntax forget correct. I will practice if.
Okay. Again once asked me question A.
Doubt.
Again once.
Syntax correct. I will. Syntax correct. Forget. I will practice. I if. Talk. I when later.
Hmm.
Class in.
The last word was?
Class in.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. But this practicing enable will you
Mm.
have
Mm.
better much syntax of you talk whatever.
Mm. KO.
Practice this intellect increase. Knowledge secondary.
True. Knowledge no has sense much remains. Example 4, knowledge what me helped. Back 2 days, airport in Coimbatore. Need we what is perhaps freedom that of so-called the intellect. The when mind confronts situation a bit little tricky, leave you to own your wheeling free intellect. Must it do? Not if just then check and go the RT-PCR. That's all. Is that thing one? One day you to remain that when even how you finest the response intellect of be still ready phase 2 required whatever way that is free B2 because do not you to want avoid the situation. One on side you are ready ever face to the consequences.
It's
That despite
22:30.
you try. What if? Okay. What if not? Do that. Okay.
That's okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Because readiness hours enables freedom that. Afraid we are not consequences about it. Afraid we are not the opponent. Will then we get the freedom with the sword? The point you got. That's so. Great the samurai, ready is. I too. All with readiness, die too, takes he the sword. Therefore, succeed has he too. Shogun astonished was because Know we that did the cook, he did whatever. Shogun, but no, does not. Shogun 4, an original act was that the cook of Shogun must have been. This is poetic language. Shogun must have been to witness the cook and the tea being prepared in the arena. More what an act fearless. Audience in front of full, in brackets in the cook, four but others, a samurai, sitting just and a tea, cooking a cup of. Like somewhat this, used by the concept of elephants. The RT-PCR testing people, strict were they. Similarly, I asked when that too man was he holding the handlebar, his strong hands with the question, your name is what? He said, Kunjuman. It occurred to me, percent 100, planning at all not. That question arose. The mind free to deliver that question, and absolutely question meaningless. So, statement meaningless that your name, it is not, made that all the difference. Similar very things happen will to you. Doubt no. Because he is the power that the mysterious of engines provided with we are all. The very by nature magnificent process. That's all.
Beauty, this communication, aesthetic, cryptography, decoding, mind processing multiple facts.
Oh, you feel that? Definitely. Because how been I doing this sometime for? Order into like talk this, you are said multiple are languages considered to be. Only then can maintain we sense the of
Conversation.
the message. Because we are, if to a referent describe properties the of referent to be conveyed first. That in process remains as said by multiple considered linkages to be are. Only then, given a piece of referent can conveyed be the to audience. That in process, not a doubt, mysterious greatly consequences possible are. Want I do not. You tell advance in that about. Because may it expectations create you in. Times some can block work that expectations.
Communication, this also attention leads focus more.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thinking
Session attention 1,000 in this more.
Fitly
Word every.
Right.
later time some will have a session this on a taking specific reference day. Describe and properties it's of.
KO.
So right all, night good.
Night good.
Night good.
Night good.
Night good.
You thank.
You thank. Master.
Great all.
Welcome of you. Hi Ganesh.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir. Very, very enjoying and thought provoking. Great, sir.
Good night.
Bye Tintin.
Night good.
Brilliant. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Seems Tintin much with
Oh,
Sir left, sir.
yeah. Yes. Sound is not here. Okay. KO. Problem no. Bye.
Night good.
Bye.